Very good morning, everyone. Charles here, FRGNT Daily Chart Analysis. Good morning to you. Just approaching 6:30 here in Milan. And before I clear my charts, I figured let's make a quick summary of yesterday's plays. To be fair, I've only got to journal these, but I've left them on the charts just to really disclose the importance again of the DXY. As you see here, the DXY is a chart that I've got here on screen, and what I shall show you is yesterday we had every reason to believe that the DXY was potentially on the way to push towards the upsides. The total was don't be blindsided. So what I meant by that was, although the DXY is seemingly in a bearish move at the moment, on the intraday perspective, what we must be very mindful of, first and foremost, the fundamentals of what's going on in the world. Something that I don't pay too much attention to, but when it's gleamingly obvious, it's something that you just take into consideration. And to expand on that, what I mean is, well, since America have decided to go to war, the dollar has absolutely tanked in favor of course, the DXY. So as a result of that, I figured, well, it seems quite difficult to trade against the strength of the DXY. Now, tying that in nicely with the fundamentals, the charts just align beautifully. We see here that the previous weekly candle closed above that weekly 50 MA, so naturally we're expecting price to want to retest those wick down to the lows, or the imbalance that we see underneath that 50 EMA for the push towards the upside. For the end of the week, as we have now Thursday into Friday, that would be the 50 EMA doing its job pretty much to perfection. If not now, I would expect the DXY just to hold fire around where it is, or if not, push on slightly higher towards the end of the week. So what we have yesterday is the title, Do Not Be Blindsided, and you can see here that I was expecting price to pull down, and then that's exactly what we had. The key, the catalyst, as I said once, or as I always say, once you can really forecast the movement of the DXY, for me in particular, as I trade the cross pairs, GU, EU and AU, they are my most favored pairs, even US dollar CAD to a certain extent in the opposite direction. Once you can understand where that DXY is going to turn around, even on the higher time frames, to understand that higher time frame bias, and then more intricate on that lower time frame in terms of my entry time frame on all other cross pairs, that is how you will be on the correct side of the market, in my opinion. Now, with that said, I haven't cleared my charts, as I've mentioned before I start my day's plays, and I'll show you the positions that I took. So yesterday, we wasn't really seeing too much in the market. However, what I figured is that based on all of the higher time frame analysis, we were just aligning perfectly across all of the cross pairs. Take AU for a good example. Last week we closed below that range that we had. I've said it over and over and over again. Just here, top right hand corner, we had this weekly bearish engulfing candle. So of course, expecting much of the opposite in terms of the DXY. So once you use the DXY as the confluence to understand when the DXY is going to turn around, you can then look for entries in terms of using that DXY strength to then pull AU down. So AU was a trade that was one of the favorites. I had GU, I had Gbcad. EU also was a nice favorite for me, but in particular, this just looked good on all time frames. Look at the 4-hour time frame, bottom right hand corner. As you can see, once price broke out of that, made a clear lower low, came into what we would expect to be a lower high. Why would that be a lower high? Well, I'm searching for a reason to call that a lower high area. What we have to the bottom right hand chart, we have the only daily order block available that price was respecting to support that daily 50 EMA, pushing price towards the downside. And then when you come to the 4-hour time frame, that was the only real thing against my position, in all honesty, is the fact that once price got up into that area, particularly that 4-hour order block, we closed above the 4-hour 50 EMA, meaning that my targets were very restricted in terms of risk to reward ratio, where naturally I'd be expecting a reversal from that area. But trusting the analysis, and then once we had that bearish closure below that 4-hour 50 EMA, it was all systems go, to be quite honest. And as you can see, just by eyesight, just by eyeball, you can see perfectly how here on the lower time frames, top right, top left hand corner, excuse me, we're almost identical with the DXY in that movement. Also, something to note is that 2 days ago, the DXY also had two 15-minute order block areas that I was looking for a reaction from. And that was on Friday, I believe. Now, the DXY, it didn't respect the first 15-minute order block. However, it didn't get to the 15-minute order block below it. And the same, exactly the same, happened yesterday. And I was just waiting for that to happen to see if history would indeed repeat itself. And absolutely it did. So that's the DXY there in terms of DXY using AUD USD as well. Now, I have closed this trade out this morning, roughly about an hour and a half ago. So it's certainly not looking as good as that. But once I saw that move, I think I closed around 3.3 as a result of having additional trades currently active in the market. So we had AUD USD, I was short on that. I had Gbpcad, which I closed also roughly the same time as price started to approach that daily 4-hour 50 EMA. The reason for closing Gbpcad out sooner rather than later is I don't have the same confidence to hold that position. Admittedly, I didn't hold AU, but I probably should have, to be quite honest. But as a result of having quite a lot of risk on and having a lot of floating profit in terms of percent, or what I deem a lot of percentage rolling at the time, I figured, well, I'd better just bank some profits for the start of Q2. So GCAD was also closed out this morning, roughly the same time about an hour and a half ago, and that was simply as a result of approaching those higher time frame 50 EMAs, where I do believe price may well indeed react towards the upside. And you can still see quite clearly that 15-minute time frame is still rather bullish as a result of making that higher high. This could well be the higher low for that higher high continuation. So that's DXY, that's AUD USD, and the other trade that I had was Euro US dollar, taken in exactly the same way. As you can see, it is pretty much the inverse operations to the DXY. Again, it's just to highlight the importance of understanding the DXY. I did a video yesterday on potential trades on these pairs. As we can see, they've just played out to perfection, to be quite honest. Look at AUD US dollar yesterday. We have that area that I was expecting price to react to. Look at that 4-hour time frame, bottom left hand corner. And as you can see, if we roll back to that chart to AU, pretty much to perfection. So it's a little bit of ego stroking, of course, but it's also to highlight a couple of things. Prior preparation, plan the trade. I know it sounds cliche, but it does work over and over again. As you can see by my analysis, it rarely changed. It's pretty boring, to be quite honest. It's the same thing over and over and over again. My setups are pretty standard. My entry criteria is there's no real secret behind that. I'm either looking for a lower time break of structure, excuse me, or a shift in sentiment in terms of an imbalance, and I'll take that imbalance trade, no problem whatsoever, and I'll do that on any time frames from the 1 minute time frame up to the 15-minute time frame. There's no real secret in my method or my strategy, but nevertheless, what you will see is clear consistency across these charts every single day. That's something that I will say that I am an advocate of, regardless of you wanting to gain traction on your personal channel or not. If you're able to publish your charts and stand by your charts, you'd be in a position like myself where even journaling becomes so much easier, because it's as simple as, well, what did I publish? Copy that into the journal, and then what happened to the trade? Copy that also. So very good day yesterday, leading into today. And yeah, that's just a quick breakdown video in the morning, just before I clear all of these charts off and start the day again. So as always, team, thank you very much for your support across all of the channels. I do appreciate it. And to that one gentleman in particular who said that the chart analysis were useless, just post your entry, just post your stop loss, just post your take profit. Well, I hope it's as useless as it seems. Thank you to everyone else that is extremely kind across the following. It is appreciated, as I said, and in a couple of hours you'll see another whole load of breakdowns coming your way by way of FRGNT daily chart analysis. So all the very best in your trading journey. I wish you a pleasant quarter two of the year, and take care. You'll hear from me soon. All the very best, Charles.